Okay, so the beginning that opened this is actually the result of the future. We're doing writing practice, and we're writing by forcing us to create something with a set template right here. This is the set template below, and I'm going to show you where it comes from. A set template may mean you're given just a guitar, maybe a harmonica, and something obscure like a bamboo flute, and say create something comical with it, that kind of thing. In this case, we're going to use a set orchestral template to create something with a specific mood in mind, like the opening beginning that I stuck in here. I have no clue what the mood's going to be yet because we're doing this as we go, but I have no clue what the beginning played. But this produces what I call musical problem solving. This is something I think you really have to develop as a musician who wants to create, is the ability to problem solve, because a lot of creation is problem solving. And you actually get better at musical problem solving. So this is where this comes from, this limitation here. I'm using this Rimsky-Korsakov example from his orchestration book, Violins and Melody. That's the topic. So we're going to keep violins and melody, and we're going to do the same exact orchestral template here. Not exactly the same thing he's doing feel-wise. We may use the same techniques, okay? But we're not going to do the same feel. We're just going to use this template here. We're going to use like cellos and basses playing octave spread Piz. Let me hit play on this. And that was straight playback from notation, which they don't usually, play things back really well. So compared to the real thing, or good mock-ups in a DAW. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to choose a mood and feel. And to make this simple, I'm going to actually choose, there's the template, fun, comical. So I'm going to choose Lydian dominant because I've already done a video on this. And in fact, we're going to use the same key, and we're going to use the same two chords I chose to revolve around the major 1 and the 1 flat 7 sharp 11. So I'm going to go ahead and just start. I'm going to create something that's going to give me some kind of pulse, that's going to give me some kind of aspect of feeling like it's comical. So using these typical kind of pulses, like there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm starting with the bass line, not the melody. The lowest end, meaning the bass line, not the basses themselves. So if I do this with pizzicato, remember we're forcing ourselves to use a set template, the same one that Rimsky used in those first few bars of his opening, but it's really slow. So that's really slow, so we're going to jack the tempo up to about 180. And in fact, we're going to create the entire backing before the melody. So I'm guessing this is going to repeat for a while because we're just writing practice. So it's our pulse pretty much. So since in Rimsky's example, the limitation we place on ourselves is to use the same setup, orchestral setup, not necessarily the same parts. So I just copied the cellos to the basses because they're playing the same exact part in octave. So remember, bass sounds an octave below than what's written, but you should know this. Okay, so we have some kind of pulse to work with. It's very simple, and that's okay. We're trying to create a feel, not a complex piece of music. So I'm going to fill in the harmony here. What I'm going to do is just basically create the harmony. It's okay. Actually, let's do this. Let's alternate between a regular 1, a C major, to a sharp 11 flat 7 kind of sound. And actually, this is in transposed clarinets are in B flat. Let's put them in concert pitch so most people don't know about transposing instruments or can't read them. So okay, so we're going to do like something like that, but with really crisp, short notes. So it's like an answer to the bass line, okay? We don't need to use any technical terms, nor do we need to flip any of these stems around to face the right direction that you would face them if you were doing a proper score. We're just sketching here, so it doesn't matter. You clean everything up later. So let's finish this, and let's just have the second bar do a C chord. And short. So we're not going to fill in any rest, clean anything up. We're just sketching using the same template that Rimsky is forcing us to use. And forcing us to problem solve some kind of backing and some kind of melody. That sounds comical. We've placed those limitations on ourselves. So there we go. We have a backing we can work with. And we're not going to go very far in this. We're just creating writing practice. And we're just going to keep copying and pasting this. Because it's just going to keep repeating this. Get rid of these extraneous... So there we go. Our backing's coming together. Look at the Rimsky example. Remember we said we're going to steal some techniques that he's using? So we got to figure out what to do with this horn. So let's just go ahead. It's in concert pitch right here. Let's go ahead and do this. Have it start out quiet and just do a small little swell. That's it. On the C note, on the root of C Lydian dominant. Just a little short little swell. We've problem solved what to do with this horn now. Go download the Rimsky example if you need to. The whole entire orchestration book is free at IMSLP. And I know this book inside and out because I've actually mocked it up many times for courses actually. So we're going to go ahead and go to violins 2. Remember it was divided groups in pizzicato if you have the example in front of you. So we're going to do that. But we're going to do it not the same as him. Okay, I'm going to just do it on the sharp 11 kind of sound. So we'll stick a little indication that it's Piz and maybe just to remind ourselves that his was divided, so ours will be divided. Placing this limitation ourselves to create with the same exact template that he was using for that part that he had. So give it a dynamic. And this is actually an exercise I give my students. I have them take sections of a specific example from the book and actually create something with it. They can create something similar or they can create something completely different. I leave that up to them. So the violas, we're doing short notes. Okay, I'm just going to have them octave jump. At first, they'll be below the violins too. On the second C, they'll be above an octave jump, just like Rimsky did in his. But we're just going to leave that. Just the Piz at the same time that Piz is happening. That little octave jump. It's a nice effect. So what I'll do is I'll just make this happen every other bar because I have a good idea what I'm going to do with the violin's melody, okay? So we have a backing now, and let me clean this up just a smidgen, for our melody. Again, this exercise is forcing us into a limitation situation, so we have to actually problem solve to get a backing that sounds comical. That's our set goal. So let's work on the melody now. Actually, I should be watching the screen. I just placed that in violins too. Okay, so I'm going to start on a C note, and I have a good idea what I'm going to do already. Sharp 4 degree, part of Lydian dominant. Okay, we're going to give it a little rest here. I'm going to just kind of sketch out a little melody here. Actually, no, I'm going to actually scrap that and go with triplets. So we want our melody to be slightly comical. So I'm really going to emphasize that sharp 4 of Lydian dominant and the flat 7. So we're going to have a little bit of a rundown like this to the sharp 4 again and just create that as our target note. Oops. Cut that out of there. And then just use a, okay. And we'll just make these short notes from there to there. A highly technical term, short notes. So, I don't like to use a lot of technicalities on this. Let's throw in a little grace note there from C to C. And then we'll top this off. We'll probably slur that, but we'll top it off. I have an idea. We'll create a trill on that high C, which is going to be a whole step above. So all we need to write in is, so let's have a listen to our melody. So remember, melody doesn't have to be in every bar. Let's just actually have this occur every other bar. So this will actually help with the comical nature of the sound, okay? So what I'm going to do is actually just kind of copy this. Remember, you're just sketching, so don't worry about all kinds of details and putting in rests and all that. So remember, with melodies, similarity is king. Unlike random like improvisation where it could be all over the place, melodies actually work best if they have a lot of similarity. So what we'll do is we'll take that F sharp, we'll just octave jump and do something like a repetition as an answer to the first time it happens. And by the way, like the Rimsky example, we're forcing ourselves to create a violin's one melody. We're using the same exact setup he had, same template. So this is literally the video. We're just problem solving the situation of trying to get this to sound comical, this set template that we've forced ourselves into. Now what I'm going to do is try to create some kind of closeout, so at least we have some kind of melodic thing that closes. And this could be the beginning of something or something you've transitioned to. It doesn't matter. We're just practicing writing. Literally practicing writing is a really, really, really good thing to do, especially if you place limitations on yourself. So after cleaning it up, I'm going to create some kind of closeout. And I think I'm going to do it with the melody instead, because I already have an idea of where to go. So I'm going to copy the first bar slightly, the first bar of melody, that is. Because again, melodies work best when there's more similarity. So actually, but I'm going to work myself towards a closeout. Okay, we'll go to this G, and what we're going to do is we're going to transition to a chord, a tritone away to an F sharp major. That's my idea here. But we're going to, oops, if I would stop talking, I'd probably, but this G over an F sharp would be like a 9, a flat 9. So creating a little bit of tension before it releases. And I get to fit this into the screen. Let me resize this really quick and we'll go ahead and continue. So we're just basically creating a closeout to our little melodic statement here. It sounds nothing like Rimsky's at all. Our intention was to create something completely different with a limited palette. Now the F sharp. So we need an F sharp. Let's do a triple stop, and that shouldn't be a triplet. Funny, I should say that at the same time as I stick a triplet in there. Actually, I need to get rid of that. For some reason, Notion will not allow you to, let me think about this stop for a second. So a triple stop with a string sound will actually sound slightly arpeggiated. And I just want that target F sharp note. So we'll make it a short stop. So that's a position in baseball. We'll just make these all short notes for now. We'll worry about the rest later. So if you're a sample user and you see a triple stop, make them slightly arpeggiated to where the target note is actually the last in the arpeggiation. But more like prr, not actual arpeggiation, but prr, because they have to like kind of rake through. Well, let's forget the technique. Just remember that trick. If you use only samples. Triple stops and whatnot will sound more realistic, and I notice I left these grace notes out if you actually have that slight arpeggiation towards target note instead of all sounding at the same time. So remember, little small details like that will actually make a big deal in sample library mockups. So all we have to do now in this limitation exercise, this is still an exercise, is create the backing, finish the backing. So maybe just kind of, let's go up to limitation via a template that you cannot change. You have to use this. Because right here near the end, I really want to throw in something else. So let me just, in terms of instrumentation, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to do this. Something really simple. Figure out. Just create an F sharp chord with these with the bassoons and the clarinets. That's it. And have them crescendo to a short note. Short stop. I like that because so what to do with the lone horn? Okay, we'll just stick them on a C sharp. I mean, it's just a lone horn. That's why I said at this point I'd rather have something to well, to be able to change the template, but to add a few more things, but I'm not going to do that. Actually, I'm just going to do something really, really simple like this. So I'm going to stop and mass edit this real quick after I do this to throw in a little dynamic to show you what I mean. Stop. Okay, I just edited that so we have the articulations we want there. So what I'm going to do is actually so I'm going to jump to the low end and actually create for these an escape route for these guys here. And remember, they're and I have a good idea here. We'll just do a quarter note triplet down, arpeggiating through the F sharp chord. So this produces an unusual closeout cadence, tritone away. We don't want to rely on any 5 chords or such. So what I'm going to do is just copy this to the basses and then transpose. So I'll go and edit that really quick. Okay, there we go. Good enough. We're just sketching here, remember, that's all we're doing. So what I'm going to actually do is just take that and actually have the violas kind of do the same thing. We're going to break out of Rimsky's at least articulations. We're still going to use the same setup that he has, the limitation. I can't add any more instruments, but we're going to do a triple octave here. So I copied and pasted, so just to save time. So what I'll do is just transpose that up. And that should be, the articulation should be switched to pizzicato. So we'll just stick that anywhere. It doesn't matter right now. You clean things up later. Okay, to finish this end phrase, we're actually just going to copy this from up here just to finish it. So we have some kind of finish to violins 2, where now we're going to use the bow, but we're going to transpose that down an octave lower. So they'll be switching from divided pizzicato to unison with the bow. So that's represented with this little guy here. And just stick them anywhere for now, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to... Actually, let's not overly concern ourselves. Let's just try to get this done. Move it out of the way. So we'll just have them do a little crescendo here like everybody else, and we're pretty much done. We've done our little limitation exercise and created something with it. This is as far as I actually... This is as far as I actually want to go, because that's the whole point, is we're practicing creating something with a fixed set template. We have no other choice. So I probably could have done things way better somewhere else, somewhere in here, but that's the point. You're not worried about that. You're just writing for the sake of writing and practicing doing so with limitations. And also at times using the same exact techniques he used in his. Okay, so I'm not going to clean it up. I'm just going to stick a clear picture, and here you go. So that last one was done with VSL. This is the end result. We've created something from a limitation exercise, and now we have something we could use with our good samples. Some part, some melody for some kind of thing, situation, your media composer, you want a comical thing. Well, there you go. So now this is a very good exercise because you're forcing yourself to do something, problem solve with a set template. You're also forcing yourself to problem solve to get it to sound to the mood that you're setting, comical in this case. So there's a couple of problems you have to solve there. You literally have to solve those problems to get this to work.